Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Leandra, and in this video we're gonna explore all sorts of fears and how to navigate them better, and of course through the lens of human design. So when we look at a human design body graph, at your chart basically, we see that we have different energy centers, which are the triangles and the squares that you can see if you visually look at them. And each of these centers stands for a different area, a different aspect of your life. And it always means that you're either producing own energy here, or you're sensitive, you're empathic for other people's energy, so you're basically receiving energy. And 3 of these centers actually hold the potential for fear or anxiety. And let's have a look what these 3 centers are and what kind of fears can be found here. So the biggest one that most people have probably experienced in their life and are actually stuck in a lot of times is mental fears. So we have the mind, which we call ajna in human design. And in the mind, there's the strategy, there's conceptualizations, there's opinions, there's ideas, there's everything that the head then wants to channel into the throat. But in order to do so, we need to put things into a concept. And here we find mental fears. So all sorts of fears about strategic survival, about strategies. Oh, if I'm not going there, then this will not happen. If I'm not making this amount of money, then I'm gonna have this and that problem. And unfortunately, a lot of fears navigate their whole life. A lot of people navigate their whole life by these kind of mental fears, and then make decisions from the mind, and in the worst case, not even from their own mental energy, not from their own concepts, but from the fears of other people. So their parents or someone else in their life that is telling them, oh, are you not afraid? You should be afraid, because if you don't get this job, if you don't do this and that and that is gonna happen. And they internalize that and make their decision based on other people's fears. As you can already hear or probably sense yourself, this is not a really good place to make your decisions, and that's also not a really good place to live your life by. Therefore, it is really important to understand if it's your own fears first of all, or if you're taking them in from other people, and if so, letting them go again and not making them your own. And if it is your own fears, the only way that we can solve them is also by logically explaining ourselves that might not be the case. There's a lot of different tools and practices out there. I'm really bad with names, so I'm not sure who was the founder of that, but there is something called the work. So if you Google that, you'll probably find it. So you always ask yourself, is this really true? Is this really, really true? Do I have evidence that this is true? So that would be a logical approach to fighting your fears, basically fighting your mental fears. But obviously everything else that helps you is fine. For example, you could write down the pros and the cons and see that maybe the thing that you're so scared about, there is solutions for that, or there is not even such a bad result if you're going along that path. So mentally explaining yourself in order to overcome mental fears. And if it's not your own fears, releasing them again. How can you find out if it's your own or not? Obviously, you can go deeper into human design yourself, or use the shortcut and book a reading with me, because I have years of experience and that's what I do professionally, and I would love to give you a reading and we can look at your individual chart and talk about everything in detail. So the next center that we find where there's also fears is the so-called spleen center. And in the spleen center, we find physical body awareness, which also means that we can find a physical sensation in terms of fear that can show up for some people. So that means you maybe get goosebumps, you get fight or flight mode, your body is reacting in one certain way when you are scared. That actually serves the purpose that we would survive as a species, or that you would know what's healthy and what's correct for you. For some people, the spleen spleen is even their so-called authority, so the tool where they make their right and correct decision. However, everyone who will have that energy of the spleen will feel that in a certain way, which means that your body is always responding in a certain way to outer circumstances, to people, to situations, and that happens moment by moment. However, the trap with that is that you get stuck in fight or flight mode, so that your body is constantly in this freeze mode or in the flight mode or in the attack mode, and that is obviously very, very stressful for the body. So when we feel that, we need to find ways on how to move through that feeling of fear in the body and trying to find physical solutions for it. So you can already see here, as we are talking about a physical plane, it's very important that we also look at it from a physical perspective and have tools and modalities that work with the body in order to ground ourselves. So you could try tapping, which is called EFT. And in my courses that I'm offering on my website, you will find so many tools and modalities for exactly these kind of situations that can help you first find more self-love and also how to anchor and get to know yourself more. So if you want to find out more about that, check out the link on my website, where you can find all the courses specific tailored to your type actually. So finding tools on how to work with your body in order for you to feel more safe and more grounded on a physical plane, on a physical perspective. And people who do not bring naturally the energy of the spleen within their own system, they will feel it from other people, which means if they're around people who are constantly in fight or flight mode or are scared or they're feeling their stress in their body, that could impact someone who is open here, meaning receptive for that sort of energy. And that can even then be amplified, so meaning they start to become fearful and feel it physically through other people from everywhere. That can even go so far that you notice maybe health problems from other people and you start to feel physically sick. So that is when you need to realize that these are not your own energies and you need to let go and release these energies again. And again, a reading can help you to understand and determine if you bring that energy or if you're receptive, if you're open there, but you might also just sense it naturally as I'm speaking, what resonates more with you. Also, it's really important that you will have these fears at one point or the other, and that you move through them and in order to overcome them. So facing them one by one in order to, in the end, become basically fearless in a healthy state of fearless. And the last one, the last energy, the last center that we have is the solar plexus center, which stands for feelings and emotions. So people who own that energy, who have this center activated, they go through their own waves and highs and lows of emotion. Whereas people who are receptors here, they will feel other people's emotion very strongly. So they're emotional empath. In any way, emotional energy is the strongest one on the whole chart. We all know how strong emotions can be and are, right? So the emotions need to move through the system in order so you can find clarity for emotionally defined people, at least. That means that if you feel this, it's less of a fear, it's more of a kind of nervousness. If you feel this unrest or this nervousness in your body, you need to find solutions for yourself on how to bring that emotional energy back into movement, because emotional energy wants to move or wants to be channeled and not get stuck or not get abolished. And that means that it can maybe flow through conversation, maybe it can flow through creativity for you, maybe it can move through exercise, through movement. And depending on which activations we have, we can see what will be or might be the right way for you. Also, maybe having a withdrawal, like taking yourself out of everything, reflecting for yourself, or having time in nature. So in a reading, we can also see which are the connection that you're building to the solar plexus. However, it's really important, as I said, to bring the energy into movement in one form or the other, so it doesn't get stuck in your system and it's not overwhelming your system with nervous fears. If you are open here and you're receptive towards the energy of other people, then you really need to take care that you're not making these nervousness your own, and you learn to distance yourself from that and being an observer of emotion, but not actually taking them in. And me myself being open here, I can tell you how uncomfortable that feels sometimes when you feel this itchy feeling from someone who's really emotional, maybe not in a good emotional place at the moment. And you also need to find your tools and ways on how to come back and ground yourself. For me, that is also creativity, movement, but also setting really healthy boundaries towards people where I feel this strong energy and I feel it's overwhelming me, and telling them that I'm not available for this, or taking myself out of the situation, or even not having these people in my surroundings in the first place if it's a consistent thing. So ask yourself, what do you need in order to not taking in their emotional energy, because your body, your system is not here to actually hold these energies, and it will be very overwhelming for you, especially on the long run. So if you have all of these three centers open, that can be quite overwhelming, because you're taking in literally all sorts of fears from other people, whereas originally you're here to become fearless or be fearless in a healthy way, as you have overcome these fears or found your tools or not how to let them into your system. So yeah, that was just a short introduction in all the sorts of fears. Let me know, do you know any of these fears? Do you maybe don't know them at all? Do you have any more questions? Just leave it down in the comments. I'm reading all of them. I'm answering all of them, as long as qualified, obviously, and you're a nice human. So yeah, let me know, and I'm sending you so much love for now, and bye. See you next time.